Many of you have followed my husband's story, Bruce Flett, how coconut oil reversed his dementia and his diabetes. And I know that many of you have heard further on the story. Some of you do not know. Bruce also, at the time that he was very sick, he also had cancer in the liver. It was not completely diagnosed because in order to do a biopsy, they would have had to have taken a sample from his liver, and he probably would have bled to death. So they couldn't do that. So we never did mention the liver cancer. The doctor knew the spot was there on his liver, but never gave us a final diagnosis on it at the time. When he started taking the coconut oil, not only did his dementia go away, but any of the symptoms that he had that were related to the liver problem, they went away as well. And every time Bruce went to see the doctor, he would ask, "How's my liver, doctor?" And the doctor would say, "Seems fine. Your numbers are good." If he checked him, said, "Seems all right." Basically, the liver situation was forgotten up until a year ago. And at that time, which was it started about mid-November of 2013, that he started getting discomfort in his stomach and that general area. And it started getting worse. Now his brain stayed normal, everything else stayed normal, but he was getting pain. Not so bad that he had to take something for it, although it was, some people would take painkillers for it, but he was fine. He had really pushed himself in the summertime. We had been going to 3 markets, 2 of which we had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get there, and it was a full, long day at the market. Bruce did all the work. He did all the driving, he did all the heavy slugging, and he did all the bookwork, plus he did a lot of sales at the market. And so after the market season was over, he just started to feel the results of having pushed it so hard. And we got in to see the doctor in the hospital in January after he'd had his family for a family get together. He was ready to go into the hospital and get himself checked. And at that point, they found out that he had cancer in his liver. It was also in his colon and in his lungs. And February the 15th, he passed away. During the time that he became sick, he was still totally cognitive. His brain never regressed until, of course, at the last 2 or 3 days, his speaking became more and more difficult, and we recognized that his body was shutting down. He was at home. He never had to take any morphine. He was fine. He looked very good. And his skin was yellow, but he didn't have bed sores. The rash he started to get, which is normal for when you have problems with your liver, I started using coconut oil for, and the rash went away, which was very lovely. 4 years ago, when he was first so sick and everything was going wrong, and they still didn't know what the problem was, he had prayed and asked God, am I going to die? You see, he was concerned more for me than he was for himself. He knew where he was going, but he wasn't ready to leave because he knew I was not provided for. He felt very bad. I mean, we'd done mission work up north, and came back with no money but we managed to get a little trailer home, and we lived in the trailer home in Owen Sound, and he was not happy. He was afraid I wasn't going to be able to make ends meet. He knew I was not a city girl either, and after he recovered from dementia and his cancer had gone into remission, he felt that he could do something to help provide for me. We moved into the country. We started our business, which wound up, it was a natural business. It was a year after he had recovered, and we had been sending so many people to the health food store for coconut oil that we finally decided that we could do it easier ourselves. We had found a good supplier, wonderful coconut oil, and we started bottling it and selling it ourselves. Found out we had the best coconut oil on the market. That was all God. It really was. And I wound up with a business that I still run. It still helps to supply my needs. The Lord looks after widows and orphans, and this was his way of looking after me. So when the time did come for Bruce to go, he felt that now he was ready, and God had given him extra time. When he asked the Lord those during that time when he was so sick the first time, and before his brain really started going downhill, the Lord told him, as I extended Hezekiah's days, so I will extend your years. Well, he did. He extended his years. We had 3 wonderful, wonderful years together that I am so thankful that we had. And I'm so thankful that when he did go, it was not a long, drawn out process, and that he knew things had been taken care of, that I would be provided for, and he was ready. So I just want to let you know that the coconut oil God gave him, through the coconut oil, gave him an extra 3 years. And maybe if he hadn't been working quite so hard and pushing himself so hard, maybe he would still be here, but there's nothing that replaces rest. I now make sure that I go to one market. I do not go to a Saturday market. I spend that time as my Sabbath, and I rest. And I believe that everything is still all in God's perfect plan. And I know that I'm going to see Bruce someday, and I look forward to that. Thank you so much for all the prayer support that you've given us in the past. Thank you for listening.